So the Sony FX6 just came out recently. It's an amazing camera. It's great for independent filmmakers and educational content creator like myself. I think it's a dream camera, but will I buy it? Well, let's talk about it. So this Sony FX6 is just amazing camera. It has everything that I wanted, especially the low light feature. I knew that Sony was going to come out with a camera that's similar to A7S III. I knew that I have to wait until this type of camera come out because I knew that Sony A7S III is not my camera. It would have to be something similar but have a FS5 body. And they did. It's called FX6. It's a full frame, low light camera. It has 10-bit 422 that I wanted, 4K, 120 frames per second, raw output, SDI, as well as HDMI actually, both. Not just HDMI, but SDI output to the Shogun 7. So it has all the features that an independent filmmaker would want, and as well as educational content creator like myself, I would love to have this type of camera. However, that's the point. I would have to sell a lot of my gears in order to get that camera, and I did the budget, and it's just no way that at this point an average person, whether they're pro consumer or even starting professional content creator, would be able to buy this camera just yet. For me, it may be, I was initially thinking maybe 2 years, but I'm thinking more like 4 or 5 years. Let me explain. If you look at the FX6, I'm talking about Canadian dollars, okay? So anytime I'm talking about money, dollar, it will be in Canadian dollars. So if you want to know how much that is in US, just divide it by 1.33. So if you look at the pricing for this camera in Canadian dollars, it would be around, I believe is around $8,050. That's a lot of money, plus tax, and we have about 13% tax. So you're looking at about close to $9,000 camera. That's just for the body alone. Now, because, you know, when I buy camera, I don't just buy the camera, I buy the accessories and what it's supposed to maximize this type of camera. So you would need a Shogun 7, which is another $2,000. And then you need that cinema lens, which is a, I think the 16 to 35 T 3.1, those cinema line camera. It's actually a beautiful lens. I probably would buy that lens first before I bought the FX6. That's what my strategy would have been. So if you add that up, you're looking at around 12, well, let me see. The lens itself is close to 7,500, so plus tax and everything, you look about 8,000 something. So when you add the Shogun 7, the FS6 camera, and then the lens, the cinema lens, you're looking close to $25,000. Now, that's not including accessories like the batteries and the express card, the C express card. So all those things like memory, storage, and all that stuff. It's just, and oh, and you're upgrading your computer as well because you're looking at a high frame rate 4K. So it requires maybe a high power computer to do that as well. So I'm thinking about the investment of $30,000. That's a lot of money. Think about it. Now, my rule of thumb is this. If you're starting a business, you should never put all your money in your gears. That's not a rule. Remember, the business is to make money, to make profit. So the rule of thumb is 10 to 50% should be invested in technology or in gears so that you can advance your company, right? 10 to 15%. Now that would include software as well. So that's another topic I want to talk about in my next video. But for now, I'll leave it. We're just talking about hardware right now. Software is as important, okay? And gears, it's not just video, it's also audio as well. So you have to include that in there. And tools that you need like lighting and all that, okay? So 10 to 15%. Now, let's say your company, you make a revenue of $40,000 a year, which is, minimal average for any video starting out company. 40,000, okay? Let's say after tax. Now 10% to 15%, that's around $4,000 to $6,000. So in order to own FS6 and the accessory, including the lens and the Shogun 7, I said the budget's around 25 to 30,000. Okay, so if you say it's around, let's say average of 28, you're looking at between, well, you need to save up for 4 years, which I was right all along. So I would have to wait 4 to 5 years, saving up 4 to 6,000 a year for 4 years, 4 or 5 years, in order to get this camera and its accessories. So how would you go about doing that? Unless your company grow exponentially, then that's a different story. People like Gerald Undone and other YouTubers who's really famous for having a lot of subscribers, well, the money's just coming in right now, because if you have 100,000 subscribers, your average income, because you're getting paid from YouTube, you're looking around 30, 40,000. So they already have the money that's coming into them, so they don't have to worry about that. But people like us having less than, let's say 10 to 1,000 subscriber, well, that's a different story. You will have to come up with your own money, and so that involves discipline, patience, and planning. So even though I desire this camera a lot, love this camera, right? It is not going to happen. You got to be realistic. You want your business to survive, and you don't want this illogical behavior to cause problem to your business, especially during this time, right? I mean, trying to find a job or trying to find money for your business is very hard during this time. So if you're smart, do not do it right now. The funny part is that I have my other camera, old camera, like the A5000. I thought, maybe I should sell all my gears and come up with at least maybe $20,000. I could do that because I have gears that I could sell it off, maybe make up to, maybe not 20,000, maybe 10, 15,000, and then maybe I'll have to get some money that I need to borrow to get it. But that's not gonna happen, because that's just crazy. Because you know what happened? Well, the other day I took up my A5000. If you sell it on Kijiji, for example, you won't be able to get more than $250 for this camera, including the lens. But the cool part is that while I was just sitting contemplating about selling it, I was able to solve a lot of the problem, because I was just playing with it, and I realized, wait a minute, the overheating issue is resolved now on this camera. The low light capability, I was able to resolve that as well. I was able to figure out how to do that. The clean HDMI output for the A5000, I also was able to figure out. And the recording limit, I also was able to figure that one out. So no more recording limits. So this is a souped up on steroid A5000, and I'm not gonna sell it for that price, because I made so much modification and learned so much about this camera. To me, it's worth more than $500. No way I'm gonna sell this. In fact, I have 2 of these. So by knowing how to utilize your tools that you have now, you are becoming very creative. And that's what I did. The camera I'm using right now is actually filming on the A6100. And I'm just beginning to grasp how to use it properly. And actually, that is more than enough. My Panasonic GH4, for example, I was able to get the focus to work 100% now. I found a technique to be able to get it to work always on the spot. I used that to film my lab demo and all that, the GH4, and I was able to get a perfect focus all the time. So with a limited budget, I was able to create a way to make it work for me. So this FX6, even though the spec looks amazing and it could work, but to think about coming up with 25 to 30,000 this year is pretty much impossible for people like us, because the type of money that you have to come up with, unless you're you're made of money tree, it's not going to happen. And if you want your business to thrive, you have to plan it long term. So remember the rule: 10 to 15% of your profit have to be saved up to buy these gears. That would mean, for me, for most of you, it would be 4 to 5 years of your saving. Unless, of course, you're selling your gears and try to fund that, then it's fine. But I can tell you, if you learn the skills, you learn, also remember the software as well. Make sure you learn, like for example, I'm using DaVinci Resolve. I'm trying to learn that myself, getting better and better at it. rather spend that time to develop the technique and also learn the software, and then the hardware will come in. And also remember, there's also audio and light. That's really cheap. You can work that out, get that going, get that technique going, and then we establish all these techniques. That extra technological advancement from FS6 may help you a bit. I would say probably around 10%. Other than that, it depends again what you're doing, but 99% of us most likely would not need FS6 to do a job that we're doing right now. Like, for example, doing vlogging or product review. Okay, or even lab demo that's my channel. I like to do an educational videos. So FS6 is nice if I want to do independent film. I'm filming low light situation scenarios and I don't have too much light, which I should be thinking about investing in more lights actually. And audio, so important. Without a nice audio, the image would be quite useless. All right, so that's my take on the FS6. It's a dream camera, but at this point, most of us shouldn't be thinking about buying it now, but planning to buy it in the next 4 years. That's how your business is going to thrive. You are going to plan it out, be logical, be patient, be disciplined, and see if it is the camera you need, not what you want, but what you need. Like I said, cameras like the A5000 and other cameras I have, the X-T3, the Fuji X-T3, the Panasonic GH4, the FS700R. As I learn more about the camera, even though it's like 5 to 10 years old, I begin to realize I could do almost as much as a current newest, greatest camera. And that's the fun part, actually. Being able to use old camera and do as good as a new camera. Thanks for watching EducateTube.com.